Hi, welcome to One for the Road, where we navigate sobriety, recovery, and life in general. Tune in as we share our experience and opinions while answering any questions you may have. My name's Marissa, and this is my co-host, Judy.
Hello.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, notify, do all the stuff. So today, I know you
That
were
was
on
quick.
I
That
know,
was
I know.
quick.
We don't have any special announcements today or anything. So hopefully we'll have some fun stuff. We are looking for a female to share her AA story if anybody's interested.
Yeah.
Or even a guy.
But
We're okay with that too, but we'd like a female guest.
yeah, AA, because we did NA. We're working
Yeah.
our way down the A's.
Yeah, all the A's.
All the
So today we are going to talk about, you and I were having this conversation prior, but talking about, like, is it normal to still like romanticize drinking, the craving, like crave drinking, like, is that stuff normal? Like, how do you move past that? What is it like? All that stuff about just, you know, if you've been removed from it for a little bit of time, if you've been removed from it a long time, like, what are those different elements look like as far as cravings and just thinking about it and all that. So take it away.
So take it away. Yeah. I'm going to say this, and I know that I've had to have said it at least once in one of our previous episodes, but it always pops up. It's Pinterest, man. I'm going to tell you, Pinterest, it got me, and it got me like 2 years ago. It was around the holidays, and it was Crown Royal apple with ginger ale. And I'm going to tell you, it keeps popping up on my Pinterest, and every time it pops up, I'm like, still wondering what that tastes like, right? Like, whatever. I will say this, so yes. So for me, thinking about it, it pops up, right? As soon as it pops up, it sort of disappears. Now, I can't say that was always the case, but so, and I laugh at myself today, like, oh yeah, that one, but so for me, that obsession, that craving, that has left. I don't know when it happened. I do know that in the course of this round of sobriety, not the first, because we all know about the relapse, but this round of sobriety, there's only been one time that I can think of where I really romanticized and played around, and it wasn't even with drinking so much. It was about cocaine, because even though I have a drinking disease, I will say, first and foremost, it always goes back to cocaine for me. It was that, the drink was a facilitator, right? So whatever, but I played around with that idea. I played, it was for a couple days, where it just sounded better and better and better. And, it's not really drinking. And I had all the excuses kind of running through my head. And, and I couldn't see that. I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember at that time, for that 3 or 4 day period, whatever it was, the end result. I couldn't remember that. As hard as I tried, I was like, yeah, it was kind of shitty then, but like that 4th day was kind of shitty, but and it seemed to me that those 3 days of pretty awesome, never sleeping, staying up and tweaking, far outweighed that last day when I thought I was going to die, and so for sure, that happened in sobriety. It was terrible. I mean, and it wasn't terrible, like looking back on it, but when I was in it, I have to say it was probably terrible. I don't remember it being as bad, but I have to imagine that if I spent 4 days thinking about blow, it was pretty shitty. And I did romanticize it. I really was not able to bring into that memory the badness of it, and so I don't know what and why it happened. I had some time under my belt, and so it kind of came out of left field. I was smart, though. The thing I did do is, after about day 3, I remember talking to a sober mentor, and getting my head screwed on straight. I needed somebody to really kind of give me a crack in the back of the head, figuratively, if not literally, and put me back in the game, and to know that it was normal. I think that that was really, because I thought of, again, I was unique, that nobody else must do this, that you can have all these years of sobriety and nobody else has ever thought about a drink or a drug, and nobody else has ever, not thought about the ramifications or consequences, and so it was good to know that it was normal, that other people have done it, and have had this happen. And so, yeah, and like I said, that the Crown Royal apple, every holiday season, man, it pops in and I have to laugh because, that's how my brain works. It was explained to me, and then I'll turn it over to you because I know I've kind of gone on, but it was explained to me, when I entertain the thought of a drink in a hard time or in a good time or whatever, that's normal. That's what my brain and my body is programmed to do, right? Like that's my default. And so doing the recovery thing is almost trying to rewire my brain and rewire that part of me that uses that for good, bad, or otherwise. And so, that's where I'm at. What do you got?
I love the story about the crown apple too, because I think it's so funny. My thing with that is White Claw. Right. Like, not that was my drink. I'm more of like I would be the person that would like put in a couple of shots of vodka into something like that, because I just imagine that it tastes like nasty, like dirty dishwater. Like that's, if it's not burning as I'm like ingesting it, I don't want it.
Well, because it doesn't work.
Right. It's not working. It's not working. So, but White Claw is like a thing that came about like after I drank. So right then and there, right, just that pure thought is total like romanticizing it, right? Like, oh, I wonder what that's like. And we browse, me and my significant other will never alone have I done it, but when we are together, we have like browsed the liquor section to see like what's new, and we're like, neither of us have drank in quite a few years now.
Say significant other is also recovering.
Right. And so we'll like browse and it'll be like, oh, well, that, sounds good. Like whatever. But the reality is today is that I want to be sober more than I want to drink. And that's just the truth. But those cravings, right, that when I was first getting sober, before real recovery, because I'm of the belief that sobriety and recovery are separate things, just that initial like getting sober, those first couple of days, that first like month or so, because I don't remember when that like obsessive thinking about drinking stopped. I just know that thank God it stopped, right?
Right.
So in the beginning, those cravings were like terrifying, right? Because I felt bad. I felt really bad about myself that I was like trying to get away from something. And then here my brain was thinking about it, and I'm like, no, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. And that's when like the reality of my situation was explained to me, that like, oh no, honey, you don't have a choice. Like you no longer have that choice right now, being this far away from the drink, being days away from your last drink. Like you don't have that choice, right? That's why you're in fucking treatment, because no matter what you do, you are going to think about it. So we're going to give you some tools. So when these things come up, and I was told, have some faith, right? Like it's not going to be like this forever. You're not going to wake up and think about drinking every single day. You're not going to, and slowly but surely that happened. But when it was first happening, I felt like so much guilt and shame, like, because I was like, well, it's ruined my life. Why do I still want it? Right. Well, and then that's when then it was explained to me that I had a disease, right? Like, and as much as I didn't like it, my body was going to crave it, whether I was thinking about it or not. It was just going to happen. Right. And so if I can't fix that this thing is going to happen, what can I do when it does happen? Right. Like, which is what a novel idea. Like, just accepting that it's going to happen, but what do I do about it? And that's when the recovery part of my life started, right? Because if I know that I struggle with this thing, if I know that I don't have a choice because I'm this far away from the drink, and there's like all the scientific things too. Like I would love to get like a nurse or a doctor on here to really like explain it to people, that like your body produces more acetone and this and that. And like, there's like actual things, right? Like this isn't just a matter of like willpower here. Like this is physical inside scientific stuff. Like that's when the recovery portion of my life started.
Yeah.
Because okay, what am I going to do? What are my triggers? What are the cravings? And that's when I had to be honest about it, and I remember telling people, and like my sister is a big part of my story, and I remember telling her all the time, like that I just craved it. And I would feel so upset and so defeated
Mm,
because I'm like, I don't want to crave it. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. But I want it, and how hard of a position to be in where you are torn, right? Like one side is like, want it, want it, want it, want it, want it. The other side is it's like the angel and the devil, right? Like, and what wins out. And so, yeah. And it doesn't happen to that intensity anymore. Like, not at all. Like, it just doesn't. Sometimes I go months
yeah.
without thinking about any sort of drinking, and then something will happen. We'll be at a restaurant, and I'll smell and I'm like, oh, beer. Like, cause I do enjoy beer. I like beer. I liked beer, like whatever. And how you smell it, like when you're in restaurants and bars and stuff like that. And that'll like initiate a craving. And then I have to just call it what it is, right? Like you're craving it because you smelled it. Just like French fries. You may not be hungry until you smell the French fries, but once you smell the French fries, you want the French fries, right? Like,
Right.
and that's how I have to like break it down. Not going to eat the French fries. Probably I'm going to eat the French fries.
Right. I was going to say, I don't know who you were trying to fool with that, not eating the French fry thing.
But yeah, but I think that it's totally normal. And I know people with a lot of time away from their last drink who still are like, oh, yummy, like Remy Martin, like all this stuff, and they're totally into it. And you're like, don't you have a lot of time sober? They're like, yeah, but we still think about it, right? It doesn't matter. And that's with everything in my recovery, right? Like it doesn't matter what I'm thinking about. It matters what I'm doing. And I can think about drinking all day long. And it's our tried and true, like suggestion, advice that like, talk to somebody about it. Just talk to somebody. Because someone who knows you well enough is going to be like, bitch, do you remember the last time you drank? Like, tell me about the last time you drank. If I have those people in my life, if I call you and I say, Judy, I'm thinking about this, you're going to be like, you'll let me play with it for a second, right? Like, oh yeah, that sounds great. But
yeah, let's go back to this.
And so I have to be honest with people. That's why I have to be connected. That's why I have to be honest with people, because I need to be able to say that stuff. The cravings are normal, 100%. Romanticizing about, oh, wouldn't it be nice to just have one? I think about that all the time. I see people, I go out to dinner with people and they have one drink. Maybe they like leave half of it, which that's alcohol abuse at its finest.
Yes, it is. Disrespectful.
And I'm like, that must be nice. I could totally do something like that. But then I have to remember, bitch, you ain't never had one of nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Not a single thing.
Yeah, I've never left an empty glass. I don't care. It could be water and I'm not leaving it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And so, and it was interesting. You said something about the guilt and the shame. And I think that that's a perpetuator. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing that gets the ball started. Like I can have the thought, and if I could just accept the thought, like you said, for what it is and not feel bad, right? Like I should somehow be better, or this shouldn't be happening, or whatever the case may be, I think that guilt and shame kind of, that now I'm not only focusing on having the drink and I thought about the drink, now I'm feeling bad about it. I'm just leveling all of these other things on me, right? Like I'm not even trying to let it go. I'm just piling it on, and it's one of those things where, not focusing, right? Shifting my focus, right? If I'm having a craving or thinking about it, and this is what was suggested, right? Is that, like you said, what are you doing about it? Well, sure. I sat in silence for about 3 days. Luckily I talked to somebody, but the truth is that now I need to do something about it. And so I need to shift my perspective, right? So, I mean, if I'm going to focus on the drink and the not having the drink, that's going to be all encompassing sooner rather than later, the longer I play around with that, rather than just being in a place of that damn let go and that damn acceptance of, I can't do this thing if I want to live. Because that's really what it comes down to for some, us, period, not some of us, it's only a matter of time before I wind up drinking or drugging myself to death. So, if I can't do that thing, then what can I do? Right. The shift of perspective. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
normal. I think that's the key. It's normal.
Yeah. And I remember, being in treatment too, and they would talk about like cravings and stuff like that. And I very vividly remember there was like, all of us would be in like the cafeteria or whatever. And there was a doctor lady, whatever. And I remember that she would talk about like eating chocolate. Like if you have a craving, like eat a piece of chocolate. Smell something like garlic, like something super intense is supposed to like rework
Your
whatever
brain.
you got going on there and whatever. Like, so like disrupting those thoughts, or like the body like craves alcohol when it like craves sugar too, because all of the alcohol metabolizes into sugar, blah, 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 blah. So like having chocolate like that helps like satisfy like those cravings. That's why you're allowed like Jolly Ranchers. That's why you're allowed candy in treatment, because it's totally like your body is lacking that. It's used to it. So you kind of crave it more, and your brain just instantly thinks, oh, I want the drink, not, oh, I need the sugar, or I want the sugar because I'm addicted to the sugar now. And that's a whole other ball
And
game.
it's a whole nother ball game. Sure.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then we get eating disorders, whatever. But even on that very like surface level too, like I just remember her like bringing the jar of garlic, like minced garlic, and like having people like sniff it because it's so potent. It's so intense that it's supposed to, whatever the, like thing is, it disrupts the thought, and so you do the things that disrupt the thought, like chugging a bottle of cold water. Like that was another suggestion too, eating the chocolate, sniffing the garlic, or something with like a potent smell, or I was always like, well, someone could just like sniff bleach. Like I remember like having that conversation with them, and they're like, no, I don't think you start like sniffing chemical. And I'm like, oh, I get it.
Plus, let's just go with the danger thing. There's going to have to be a huge disclaimer.
Right.
Do
Yeah.
not smell
not sniff
bleach.
Right. Yeah. Just
Stick
garlic.
with garlic.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just thought that was so funny, because I was like, well, you're thinking like something potent, something this. But yeah,
Sure.
I think all in all, I think that it's totally normal to romanticize it, to crave it, and think about it, like the thoughts, they come, just have to have some tools for
Yeah. And the tools are we could sum
acting
it
on
up.
it,
Yeah. Talk to somebody, eat
Talk to
some
somebody.
candy, drink some water, smell
Sniff some
garlic.
garlic. Yeah,
But it
go for a
works,
walk.
right? Like
It
there's the
does.
thing. They wouldn't tell you to do it if it didn't work.
Yeah, it's simple, not easy, right? Like they're
Right.
very simple suggestions and stuff like that, but it's not easy because thoughts are strong, but I think it's totally, totally normal, right?
For sure.
Totally normal. So, all right, well, keep coming back. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, notify, do all that stuff.
Keep coming back.
That's all for today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Be sure to hit the notification button so you know when new posts are coming up. Keep coming back.